What is the meaning of public speaking?
Could you please repeat your question once, please?
Sir, what is the meaning of public speaking?
Very good. I'm going to come to that, Mahiman. Don't worry about it. All right. Great. All right. So
Sir?
everyone, yes, Adhyan.
Sir, will we learn how to speak naturally, like how to speak naturally? Someone else speak.
Now we are going to learn how to speak the best that we can speak. So that means natural public speaking. So we are going to be touching upon that aspect. Okay. Very quickly, all of you, please note, if you'd like to ask a question, raise your hand. It will make the entire process of organization of the session much easier. So very quickly, let's jump into the session. A public speaking masterclass by yours truly, Ananj Prasad. Okay. So very quickly, let's start off. It's approximately a 50 to 55-minute session. I run an organization called SkillSphere Education, as all of you already know. And I'll give you a little bit of information about ourselves and SkillSphere Education before we start. We at SkillSphere, we are a pan-India and Middle East, pan-Asia organization that focuses on a range of essential soft skills that all students of your sort need to develop right from grades 3 onwards to graduation. Skills such as public speaking, general awareness, general knowledge, decision making, problem solving, and many other skills. We have many exciting activities, programs, and workshops that are conducted for this purpose. My name is Ananj Prasad, and I have basically done my master's from Cornell University, USA. I came back and started off this entire company to develop different soft skills, and since 2013, we have conducted our programs for over 60,000 students like y'all in over 22 cities and in some of the best institutes across the country. Since the entire world went online, we have also launched many of our online programs, some of which you all have participated in too, like eMun, eQuiz, eDebate, among many others. Okay, so very quickly, I don't want to harp too much on us. We need to jump into the world of public speaking. These are some of our school clients. Very quickly, we need to jump into the world of public speaking. So we are not going to spend too much of time talking about SkillSphere and its achievements. We are going to spend time talking about the basic concept of public speaking. So we are going to start off with a very interesting situation. Do all of you know what a hypothetical situation is? Any of you know? Yes, Atulit, what is a hypothetical situation?
So it's something that's not true, but it could be true. Like, it isn't true, but it's very likely or something like that happening. And it's like a situation given to you.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. Thank you, Atulit. Neil, what is a hypothetical situation?
An hypothetical situation is, which is not possible, but it is not true, but it is likely to be possible. For example, falling off a roof or anything of that.
Okay, Ankita.
Sir.
Yes, Ankita. We have to go. You have to raise your hand if you'd like to speak. Raise your hand on Zoom. Yes, Ankita.
So a hypothetical situation is anything like suppose this was true, and then you continue.
Okay. Yes, Kia.
It means like basically if this happened, then what will you do? It's like a hypothetical thing.
Okay, fair enough. I'll keep entertaining everybody's views. Akshay, Adhyan, give us some time. We'll come to you all. Okay, fair enough. I'll tell you what a hypothetical situation is. A lot of you are quite close to being right. A hypothetical situation is an imaginary situation, basically, in which let's say I am defining the hypothetical situation. Then it is an imaginary situation in which all of you as students will be participating. Okay, all of you as students need to imagine you're in this situation. The only thing is that in a hypothetical situation, there are constraints, as in only whatever I say exists. So you cannot use your own imagination, only my imagination. Whatever I say exists and nothing more. Okay? Yes, Akshay? You want to say something?
Sir, yes, sir. Like in Geography Channel, a do or die show comes in which it gives you situation and you have to decide what to do. Means it's not happening, but it's likely to happen. There are a possibility which it can be happen.
Fair enough. A hypothetical situation in general is a fully imaginary situation. So I'm putting you all into this hypothetical situation very quickly. I want all of you to imagine that you are trying to enroll for one of the best universities in the world. Have you all heard about Harvard University, any of you? Just raise your hands if you have.
Yes, sir.
Okay, a lot of you, almost half the class has raised their hands saying that they know about Harvard University. I appreciate it. Harvard University is one of the premier most in universities in the world. It is often considered one of the best universities that the world has seen. And it definitely has a very noted alumni. Some of the top presidents of the world, etc., belong to Harvard University. And it's very prestigious to get into Harvard University in general. One of the toughest courses to get into in Harvard University is the medical school course, the course to become a doctor. It is extremely prestigious, okay? And some of the best doctors come out of Harvard University, okay? I want all of you to
And lawyers too, right?
Lawyers too. Many different types of courses are conducted at Harvard University, but one of the top courses that is conducted at Harvard University is that of medicine, okay? So the Harvard School of Medicine. And it's very expensive to actually study in Harvard University, but what happens is that every year they give a lot of meritorious students, all of them actually get a scholarship, a full paid scholarship. But in order to qualify for this scholarship of merit, you know, there are a lot of different pointers that need to be fulfilled by a candidate. Of course, they need to be very good at academics. They need to be very, very good, very different, very unique. Only then are they really considered for this particular scholarship. I want all of you to imagine that you all are some of the most academically brilliant students. I want all of you to imagine that you want to be doctors and you want to go to the most prestigious university in the world to study medicine. That's Harvard University. Okay. I want you to imagine that in this entire application process, you have cleared all other aspects of the application process. Okay. I want you to imagine you have covered all other aspects of the application process. You have studied really very hard. You have been the topper in your school, topper in your college, everything you have done, studied very hard and very successfully. You have qualified all the rounds for the scholarship. And now you are at the final step. Okay. The final step to actually become a student with a full scholarship at Harvard University. Okay. That final step is an interview with the dean of Harvard University. Okay. The dean, the head of Harvard University, the principal. There's a simple interview which you have to participate in. If you clear that interview, the scholarship is yours. The thing is, you don't know what is actually going to be asked during this interview process. You have no idea about the questions. You have absolutely no idea about what is going to come your way. And so you're quite scared. You prepare everything possible. You go through all your books of medicine to make sure that you know the simplest and the finest points related to medicine, because you think that the dean of Harvard University is going to ask you these questions. You read about every issue that has taken place in the world. You read up about every newspaper. You read every newspaper. Basically, you prepare yourself perfectly. You feel that you're perfectly prepared, and genuinely you have done very hard to prepare yourself for this interview. So you are quite confident and you feel everything is going to be perfect. Then what happens is that you go in for the interview. You're fully prepared. You smile. You say, "Good evening, sir." He asks you to take a seat. You take a seat. And then the interview starts. You were expecting all these different questions about medicine, about the world, that the dean of Harvard University could potentially ask you. But he asks you a simple question which just has two words. Just has two words, and the two words are dazzle me. Okay? For all of you who do not know what does dazzle mean means amaze, surprise, positively surprise me, amaze me. This is all.
Sir, impress.
Impress me, positively surprise me, amaze me. That's what dazzle me means. Imagine you all are in this situation, prepared for everything, and then the dean of Harvard University asks you this question. Dazzle me. Okay, that's all he asks. And here you are expecting every top medicine question in the world, and what you're getting is a simple question wherein you are asked to dazzle. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. In this kind of a situation, when you are asked to dazzle this dean of Harvard University, I want to ask you all, raise your hands if you'd like to answer. I want to ask you all, what would you say? What would you say? Think about it. Think about it for 15 seconds. Then raise your hand on Zoom and tell me what would you say. Yes, Meher.
So I would say whatever I thought that there were those questions asked, I
Okay.
would say those answers but convert it into a paragraph and say it.
Okay, you would convert the questions that you had prepared for into paragraph format and try and say.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not quite sure whether that would actually bring you the brownie points that he has asked for, because he asked you just amaze him. I'm sure he knows about everything in these medicine books. He's not really asked you that. But fair enough. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, the student who's joined from Dimple Rangila's device. Go ahead. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, I think he's hanged. Adyan? Yes, Adyan.
So we would talk about like how hard we have prepared for this interview and like why do we want to join this university?
Why do you think he'd get dazzled by that? Don't you think everybody would say that to him? Don't you think he already knows how hard you have prepared for that? Yes, Arush. Yes, Arush, go ahead.
Yes, I would tell him that he is the one who's in fact dazzled me. And because I thought that he was going to ask me all sorts of questions about medicines and stuff. So I haven't actually really come prepared for this.
Okay, fair enough, Arush. I like your honesty. That's interesting. Where you tell him, you know, I have already been dazzled by you, so I don't know how to dazzle you. I'd come prepared for something else, but I'm not prepared for this. While I appreciate your honesty, I doubt that would actually get you that scholarship. Okay, let's try a few others. Yes, Mahiman. Mahiman?
I would tell the dean of the Harvard that about my specialties if
Okay.
I become a doctor.
So imagine that you have your specialities that you want to tell the dean about. What would you tell him? You tell me.
Sorry for interrupting, sir. Good evening. I'm Maria. Actually, I couldn't join early because I had a class. So could you repeat whatever you said?
I'll come back to it for you, Arya. It might be difficult to repeat everything, but I'll try and repeat some parts. We have just started anyway. Yes, Mahiman.
So the specialty that will be that I'll tell I can guess the disease.
Okay, fair enough. All right. We'll give one more student an opportunity and then we'll keep asking questions. Yes, Shashank.
Good evening, sir. So first of all, I'll introduce myself in the Harvard University to the dean, indeed, and then I'll tell him about some things about my hobbies, and so definitely we don't know his interests. So we'll begin with some of the other activities that would entertain him or amaze him, that is dazzle him.
Okay, all right. Atulit, you were saying something?
So I wanted to give an answer because mine was really different. So sir, before listing my specialties, if I was in that person's place, what I would do is, first I would say a lot of good things about Harvard University and about the dean itself, because it's a known fact that what people like best to hear about is hearing good about themselves. So I think to make a good impression on him, I would start by telling something good about him and about the dean itself, and then maybe telling that why I deserve that scholarship, because that was my reason for telling that.
Okay, so Maska polish. You will use buttering, impressing. Okay.
Sir, I had a very different answer.
Me too.
Go ahead. We'll allow one more. I'll address. Go ahead. One last. Go ahead.
Okay, sir, I would tell that I had created a formula for an antibiotic that is very powerful that can cure any type of disease.
Okay. And would you
Sir,
actually?
one last, please. I had a very different.
Okay, one second. Yes, I'm sure everybody has 1 second. Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much for that. Yes, Naman, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would first say I'm not prepared, so I would say that I am pretty sure you wanted me to dazzle you, so I am not prepared so I would say that I'm sure a lot of people who you would ask this question would tell you about their hobbies, specialities, and others, but I'm not here to say that. And then I'll elaborate on that point.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I will entertain other people's answers also in due course. Don't worry. But this is actually a very deep question. And what I actually want to bring to your notice is, yes, some of you came up with suggestions. Honestly, there's nothing right or nothing wrong with this. But how do you amaze a person about yourself? How do you basically develop that ability to dazzle a person, to amaze a person with something that you have said or with the way you have presented things? This is actually not a false story. This is no, wait, please don't speak out of turn, okay? Because there are a lot of students. I'll keep giving you all opportunities to speak. So this is actually a very interesting situation, okay? And this is actually not a hypothetical situation alone. This is a true story, okay? This actually happened a few years back at Howard University, wherein this gentleman, who was the dean of Howard University, asked a scholarship student 2 simple words: dazzle me. Amaze me, surprise me, impress me. That's basically what it means. Now you can go across the world and try and come up with all kinds of things, but yes, your content is fine. You might try and impress the dean by trying and, talking great things about him and Howard. He already knows those things though. Or you could probably try and talk about yourself or talk about something amazing that you have presented. But honestly speaking, if you really want to dazzle a person, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how good what you're saying is. What really matters is how you say it, how you present it. Any good storyteller, irrespective, you can say anything and I don't know what it is. It totally depends. You can go back and reflect at home and come up with something that would dazzle somebody about you. And everybody has something unique. I cannot answer this question for you. But what I can answer for you is how you say it. The method that you deliver something is very, very important. Okay, good storytellers, they can speak like this and you might feel fine, but they add value, they add life to something that they say, and that's what a good public speaker does. The ability to actually make any piece of content interesting is what a good public speaker is able to do. And if you ever want to dazzle anybody, it always requires you to be able to deliver your speeches well. Okay, whether it is for a Harvard University or any other place, a good public speaker is always going to be a little beyond others because of the ability to present. Often there might be 3 people who have the same skills, but one is able to speak better about it. So people are going to hear him or her better. Okay, so we need to hence develop important public speaking skills. All right, so very quickly, let's start off now. I'm going to ask you a very important question. Some of you have already seen this question, but I'd like to ask you that if I asked any of you to speak about yourselves and only yourselves for 5 minutes, how many of you would be confident of doing so? Think about it. If I asked any of you seated here to speak about yourselves for 5 minutes, how many of you would be confident of doing so? Only about yourself for 5 minutes. I see 4 hands have gone up. Very good. 5 hands have gone up. Okay, hands are going up. 8 hands have gone up. 11 hands have gone up. Okay, quite a few people have raised their hands for this question now. A lot of our ex-students as well, but yes, a lot of students. Very good. What about 4 minutes? How many of you can speak about yourselves for 4 minutes? Please raise your hands. Okay, few more hands have gone up. Approximately half the class has now raised their hands. What about 3 minutes? 3 minutes. More hands have gone up. Okay. What about 2 minutes? 2 minutes. Okay. Almost 40 students have raised their hands now. 1 minute. How many of you can speak about yourselves for at least 1 minute? Raise your hands. Okay, fair enough. So we have almost 40% of the students also raised a hand. Yes, you want to say something, Tejasvi? Okay, fair enough. Yes, Tejasvi?
My name is Tejasvi, sir.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm in Kaveripattinam, in Krishnagiri district.
Okay, very good, Tejasvi. Thank you so much. We'll come to your introduction in detail. Now I want to ask everybody, majority of the people have raised their hands. I want to ask, you can all put your hands down. Lower your hands, everybody. I'll just lower your hands for you. And now I want to ask y'all, is there anybody in the class today who is not confident about speaking about themselves for anything more than 30 seconds? Be honest. You feel scared to introduce yourself for anything more than 30 seconds. Don't worry, be honest about it. Okay? Few hands have gone up. All right, I appreciate it. No problem. This 5-minute question is actually the question with which we start off any of our classes. We start off any of our classes. Our classes always start off with this question. Some of you might have heard it better before. This is often called the 5-minute question. The interesting thing is that all of you who have joined me are at least between 10 years old to 14 years old. Okay? If we are to put that into context, that is, let's assume you're not 10 years old. That's 10 years into 365 days into 24 hours into 60 minutes. Those are the number of minutes that you have lived for in your life. If any of you are good at mathematics to multiply 10 into 365 into 24 into 60, what I'd like to tell you is that probably runs into lakhs and lakhs of minutes. All I ask you to do is speak about yourselves for 5 minutes out of that. Don't you think it's very funny that in spite of actually living for so many years of our life, we are not confident of speaking about ourselves even for 5 minutes? It's quite funny. If I asked you to speak about COVID-19, if I asked you to speak about your school, if I asked you to speak about your favorite sport or your favorite holiday destination, you could probably speak and speak and speak. But when it comes to ourselves, a lot of us are often a little scared to express ourselves. And let me tell you, it's not just y'all who are in my class today. 98% of the people in the world cannot speak about themselves for anything more than 18 seconds. Typically, the average person starts off by saying, my name is so-and-so, my school is so-and-so, I live in this city, my father's name is this, and at most my hobbies are XYZ. But when we really come to think of it, if you're trying to introduce yourself by saying these points, you're just introducing facts about yourself. Your name is a fact about yourself. Your school is a fact about yourself. You have actually not introduced yourself in the best way possible to anyone. Okay? Introductions are often called the first impressions. They're the first opportunity that you get to introduce yourself to anyone. And frankly speaking, being able to speak about ourselves, being able to express ourselves to others is the first step towards speaking in front of people or public speaking. Any good public speaker is always confident of speaking about himself or herself. Okay? Public speaking always starts off with self-speaking. Speak about yourself, and I promise you, you will be confident of speaking in public. So I am going to spend some time actually focusing upon the basic art of introduction. For some of you, this might be repetition because you have attended our sessions, but I am covering public speaking, so I have to cover this. Okay? We are going to talk about the art of introduction and the ability to speak about yourself for 5 minutes. Okay? Please note, there is no place ever that you will have to introduce yourselves for 5 minutes for. However, you should be capable of speaking about yourselves for 5 minutes if the situation arises. And I am going to teach you the longest form of introduction that exists. There are 5 pointers with respect to the long form of introduction. The first point is any incident or experience that changed the way you perceive the world. I mean, is there some incident or experience that took place that really has changed the way you see things around you? Any incident or experience that changed the way you perceive the world, and it need not be very big, very small, very serious. You know, there are students who have told me that, you know, Dhoni hit a 6 in the 2011 World Cup and India won the World Cup. That totally changed the way I look at India. It's the first time I thought that India can actually win anything at a national platform, at an international platform. One student said that, you know what, I was fiddling with the Netflix remote, I dropped it on the ground, I broke it. I was really scared that my mother would come back and find out. So somehow I tried to fix it and I realized how interested I am in electronics. Okay, it can be as simple as that as well. Okay, the second point is your characteristics. Are you a talkative person, a creative person, an outgoing person? What kind of a person are you? Okay, the third point is your hobbies. What do you like to do in your free time? Do you like to watch sports? Do you like to play the guitar? Do you like to read books? What is it? Okay. The fourth point is what makes you stand out. Okay. So the fourth point is what makes you stand out. What is that trait about you that will make you stand out in a crowd of people? Okay, what is that would make you special? And everybody has something special. Trust me, you might not know about it, but everybody has something special about them. Okay, you need to actually discover that something special about yourself, and you should be able to speak about it very confidently. And the last point is your personal details, your name, your school, your city, etc. Okay, these are the 5 important points of introduction that all of you need to be able to present. If you're able to present them in order, I promise you, if you want, you'll be able to speak for even more than 5 minutes. Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
sir,
Adyan?
can you elaborate on the 4th pointer?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm just coming to that. We don't have time for all of you to give your introductions, or for that matter, any of you to give your introductions. I want you all to actually note these points, and I want you all to practice this beyond my masterclass. The objective of the masterclass is really to introduce you to different things which you need to take forward beyond this class. Okay, I am going to give you my introduction at this point in time. I am giving you my introduction. Okay, Naisha is asking whether we have to say these points in order. Ideally, if you say these points in order, it will be best. But you should basically be able to answer these questions. Okay, so I am going to answer these questions in order,
Sir,
like I'm giving my introduction to all of you. Yes, Neil?
sir,
Yes?
sir, so we need to tell our personal details like school, city, and all that things in the last.
Yes, ideally, in the last, if you're using this form of introduction, and I'll explain to you why. Okay? So let me give you my introduction. Okay? And I'll give it in this order itself. Okay? So when I actually was a student, like y'all in school, up to the 5th standard, I was a student that was who was extremely shy. I did not have the ability to speak in front of anybody, even in front of 4 people. If I had to speak, I used to start shivering. My knees used to start trembling. I was very scared of the concept of public speaking, and I just didn't want to speak in public come what may. Very shy. I was academically a very good student, but when it came to expressing myself, I was very shy. Then I entered the 6th standard, and I had a wonderful English teacher in the 6th standard. Her name was Miss Nida Bhatt. Okay, as luck would have it, Miss Nida Bhatt actually liked getting all students to speak. And as interesting as it may sound, on the first day of class, she said that, you know what, students, I am going to keep this extempore public speaking competition. An extempore public speaking competition is basically a competition in which you have to speak on the spot. You are given a topic on the spot and you have to speak on it. She said that tomorrow we're going to have an extempore speaking competition and everybody will have to participate. Now, I was mortally scared of participating in this public speaking competition. Extremely scared, because I couldn't even speak in front of 4 people. So I tried my best not to go to school, to avoid school, tried to tell my mother I have a stomach ache, but mothers are very smart people, as all of you would know. And as luck would have it, I was sent to school, and I was actually the first person who was called out to speak, because my name is Anansh. My roll number happened to be 1 for some reason. In my school, the roll numbers were based on the names. So my name was the first name, so I was called first to speak up. Now, I was asked to speak on a very simple topic. The topic was my school. And I knew so much about my school because I had been in the school for so many years. So I knew every single corner of the school. I knew every single aspect of the school. But when I was asked to speak in front of a class of 40 students, I was so scared that I was shivering, trembling, and I didn't open my mouth. Now, this English teacher, she has had a very lasting impact and impression on my life. Very lasting impact. I absolutely love her. I've kept in touch with her till today. She stood behind me that day and said, Anansh, I have a pin in my hand. If you don't open your mouth, I will poke you with that pin in your back, and I will keep poking you until the pin comes out from the other side. I will keep poking you until the pin comes out from the other side. I got so scared of the pin that I started speaking, and I spoke for a full 1.5 minutes. Okay, in fact, I won that extempore public speaking competition, and that was the day I realized that public speaking is not as difficult as we make it out to be. It's all a fear in our head. Interestingly, what I'd like to tell you is that public speaking is the 3rd most widely seen fear in the world, after the fear of death and fear of snakes. So I also had that fear, and that day I got rid of that fear. And from there on, I went on to participate in many debates, elocutions, declamations. I was the head boy of my school. I went on to participate in many debates and Model UN conferences. In college, I was the president of the Indian Manners and Debaters Associations. And today, life has come a round circle for me, because I am conducting a master class on public speaking for all of you, and I am a public speaking trainer. So that was that one incident or experience that changed the way I perceive the world. My characteristic traits are, I am a very talkative person. That is why I am in this field, obviously. I'm a creative person. I believe I have good leadership qualities, and I like to mix around and meet new friends. My hobbies are, I absolutely love playing the guitar. I love music. I love all kinds of sports. I'm so happy that sports are resuming now post the COVID-19 pandemic's initial days. And I am a voracious reader. I read all kinds of books. The one thing that would make me stand out in a crowd of people is my ability to adapt and speak to anybody right from the age of 8 years to 80 years old. My personal details are, my name is Anansh Prasad. I actually grew up in Leelavati Bai Podar School, ICSC Santa Cruz in Mumbai. I then went on to Mumbai University. I went to Cornell University after that. And now I'm the founder and managing director of SkillSphere Education that have been running since 2013. I have been born and brought up in Mumbai. I live in Mumbai. And I promise you that I am never going to leave this city. That's how much I love it. Okay. So this is my long form of introduction. Does anybody have any doubts about the long form of introduction? Please raise your hands.
No, sir.
Bani, any doubts? Okay. Naisha, any doubt? This is the long form of introduction. I want every one of you to try and prepare your long form of introduction and give it to your parents after this session is over. Trust me, if you want to be a public speaker, the first step comes with being confident about speaking about yourself. If you feel conscious of speaking about yourself in front of other people, even your parents, look at yourself in the mirror and introduce yourself with confidence. The moment you get confident about introducing yourself, the moment you get confident about your voice, I promise you, you will already be a much better public speaker. Okay, so this is the long form of introduction, and I want to make sure that all of you are able to do it well. Yes, Adyan, go ahead and ask me your doubt.
Sir, I want to know an easy way how to overcome stage fright.
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come to how to overcome stage fright. Just starting with long form of introduction. Yes, Aditya.
Sir, is there any other form like short form of introduction?
Yes, so we are in fact just coming down to the short form of introduction. So what I taught you right now is just the long form of introduction. Everybody should be able to give their long form of introduction. That's very important. All of you should be able to give your long form of introduction if asked. Often many of these questions might be asked to you by anyone. If you learn how to answer them confidently, you are already going to be a much more confident, expressive, and better public speaker. Yes, Naisha. Naisha? Okay, but as I told you, this is the long form of introduction. There is another form of introduction that's actually called the short form of introduction. It is often called the elevator pitch. So I want all of you to imagine that you are in an elevator with somebody who you really want to introduce yourself to. Okay, so you are in an elevator with somebody who you really want to introduce yourself to. You join that person in the elevator on the 5th floor, and together you'll go down to the ground floor. The entire process of that will take you nothing more than 30 seconds. But within 30 seconds, you want to try and introduce yourself to that person and impress the person. Okay, a lot of you might state that, you know, what I'll say is that, I'm a big fan of you, sir, I love your work, ma'am, you're amazing. But honestly, if you want to leave an impression about yourself on them, then you need to speak more confidently about yourself. That is why it is actually referred to as an elevator pitch. A short introduction of about 30 seconds from 5th floor to ground floor, introducing yourself very confidently. Okay, so how do you do this? Okay, there are 3 interesting and important points that you need to cover. Firstly, your name and institution. What is your name? What institution you belong to? Secondly, what are your strengths and abilities? Many times, a lot of us are very nervous, very conscious about speaking about our strengths and abilities. But honestly, you should be able to speak about them confidently. You must be proud of them. So the second point is speak about your strengths and abilities. And the third point is often called the even if rule. Okay, so the third point is often called the even if rule, and this is best explained by an example. Okay, so this is best explained by an example. I will give you my elevator pitch and I want you all to work on it later on for yourselves. Okay. My name is Ananj Prasad and I am the founder and managing director of SkillSphere Education. My strength is that I am able to teach students many different skills such as public speaking, general knowledge, problem solving, teamwork, among other skills. Even if a student stutters, stammers, or suffers from a major lack of confidence, I believe that I will be able to do my best to help them. Okay? Did you understand how the even if rule works? Firstly, I talked about my strengths and abilities. Then basically what I said is that even if I am given a very difficult challenge, like a student who really stutters, stammers, or really fears expressing himself or herself, I will do my best. Okay? So what I've done with the even if rule is I've tried to reinforce the level of confidence I have in my strengths and abilities. A lot of people have strengths and abilities, but a lot of people are not able to express the confidence they have in it. Okay? The elevator pitch gives you an opportunity to actually do that. Okay? So this is an interesting short form of introduction that I want all of you to try during your free time. Okay? Any questions about the elevator pitch? Please raise your hands. Anyone? Okay, so at this point in time, yes.
Sir,
1 second.
I didn't understand the third point, even if rule.
Okay, Bani, thank you. So I'll explain. So the even if rule basically requires you, I'll give you an example. Let's say my name is Bani and I am from, what is your school, Bani?
Vibhyor.
Okay, I am from the Vibhyor group of institutions. My name is Bani and I am from the Vibhyor group of institutions. I am an extremely good dancer. Even if you give me a very challenging song to prepare a dance on, I will be able to do my best and I am sure you will like my dance. Okay, so I basically in the even if, I am trying to state that even if you're giving me a very difficult challenge, I will be able to achieve it. Following me, Bani?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Mahiman. Mahiman? Okay, Naisha?
Yes, yes, sir.
You want to say something? Your hand is raised.
Sir, I wanted to say, but I did not get chance.
Okay. Naisha, you want to say something?
No, sir.
Tejasvi, do you want to say something? Your hand is raised.
So, can you another time explain your strength and abilities?
Sure, sure. So when I'm saying strengths and abilities, it basically means what are you good at? You might be good at dancing, you might be good at singing, you might be good at basketball. What are you good at? That's what the strengths and abilities means. All right?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So this is actually the short form of introduction, also called the elevator pitch. It's very important for a lot of us to be able to develop this. So I basically want all of you to practice your long forms and short forms of introduction beyond this session as far as possible. Okay. So that was as far as introductions are concerned, and introductions are always the first step towards public speaking. If you want to be a good public speaker, you have to be able to introduce yourself very, very well. Okay. Public speaking always starts off with self-speaking. Okay. Now, very quickly, we'll come to the next aspect of the session. What is public speaking? Now, what is public speaking can be many different things to many of you. Okay. Public speaking is basically the ability to speak to a group of people. A lot of you think that public speaking means going on stage in a big auditorium, speaking in front of 100, 200 people. That is not public speaking. Public speaking can even be speaking to just a group of 4 people or a group of 10 people. The ability to express yourself in front of a crowd is what public speaking involves. Just wait on your doubt. I will address your doubt.
Okay? So not a doubt. So like how much more time for this session to end?
It will go until about 6:15.
6:15. Okay.
Okay. So basically, public speaking is something that all of you are going to have to do at some point in time in your life. Even if you become a doctor and you're working in a team, there will be a presentation that you're going to have to give about a particular case. If you're an engineer, you're going to have to speak to your team during a meeting. All of these are examples of public speaking. So nobody can run away from it, no matter how hard you try. And the best way to become a good public speaker is actually to do exactly what this person is doing into the swimming pool, to jump. Just jump into the world of public speaking. A lot of us are so scared of what will happen if we speak in public and make a mistake that we don't end up speaking. Take whatever opportunity you get, just jump. In the worst case, what is going to happen? You'll make a mistake, people will laugh at you. Beyond that, is anything going to happen? Nothing at all. Don't be scared of making a mistake. The fear of making a mistake or being laughed at is the major reason due to which most of us are not able to speak in public. In fact, I encourage all of you students to go up and speak and make a mistake. Because I promise you, the day you make a mistake, you'll be a much better public speaker. Because the day you make a mistake, you will realize that there can be nothing worse. And you will realize that what you consider worse is not so bad at all. Making a mistake is perfectly fine. Everybody makes a mistake while speaking in public. So the first step towards public speaking is to be able to jump into the world of public speaking. Give yourself the opportunity, back yourself. Even if you're feeling scared, just go up and speak. Because once you do that, even if you make a mistake, I promise you, you'll be much, much better off. Okay, so that's something I want all of you to remember. Now, more importantly, let's come to the core aspect of today's session. I am going to be talking about various public speaking essentials. Okay, there are certain traits that every single public speaker needs to possess if he or she is able to address a crowd of people well. There are over 12 to 13 of them. I am actually going to be covering 5 of the main ones with you today. Okay, I'm covering 5 of the main ones with you today. The 5 major public speaking essentials. Okay, these are things that whenever you speak in public, you must keep in mind under any circumstances. Without them, it is difficult to be a good public speaker. Okay, so very quickly, let's jump into them. I have not entertained any doubts because we took some time in the first part of the session. So I didn't want to actually cut down on this part of the session because it's very important. Okay, so one of the most important aspects for any good public speaker is to have logical fluency. Okay, it's to have logical fluency. Without logical fluency, you cannot be a good public speaker. Logical fluency is basically the structure in which you speak. Okay, like when we are saying the English alphabet, we go from A to B to C to D to E, or when we count numbers, we go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Similarly, when you are speaking on any topic, you must be comfortably able to go from one point to another. Okay, I'll give you an example of a speech with logical fluency and a speech without logical fluency. Okay, a speech without logical fluency. My name is Anansh Prasad and I am from Mumbai, where I was born and brought up to study in a school called Leelavati Bai Podar School, through which I went to Mumbai University and had a lot of fun. Okay, that is a speech that lacks logical fluency. It is not going in an order logically for the viewer to understand. A speech with logical fluency is, my name is Anansh Prasad and I am the founder and managing director of SkillSphere Education. I studied in Leelavati Bai Podar School in Mumbai. I thereafter went to college in Mumbai University and Cornell University, and I have been born and brought up in Mumbai. So I went from point number 1 to point number 5 in a very, very structured fashion. Similarly, when we speak as well, we need to be able to speak in a very structured fashion. Because if you're not speaking in a structured fashion where different points are following each other, you can be the best public speaker. But if people are not able to follow, then it's of no use. Yes, Aditya?
Sir, I did not understand the difference between logical and
illogical.
Yes, sir.
Logical fluency is basically the flow of speaking, the structure in which you speak. Okay, going from one point to another, from point to point two.
But the contents will be the same, no, sir?
Contents can be the same. That's what I'm saying. Your contents can be the same, but if you don't structure it in a logical manner for the listener,
sir.
Then the listener will not be able to understand. You can jump all over the place. Many times when we speak, often we jump all over the place while speaking, and that really affects how the listeners are able to understand. Yes, Ria? Ria?
Yes, sir. My name is Ria.
Ria, you're too soft. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, sort of. Go ahead.
I want to ask that when we introduce ourselves, are we supposed to say in a chronological way?
Okay. When you introduce yourself, are you supposed to speak in the chronological way? That's what Ria asked. Ria, honestly, it's best to try and introduce yourself in a structured manner, because if you introduce yourself in a structured manner, people will be able to understand you better. Okay, you can decide. That structure might change from person to person, but you must be able to decide. Okay. Now, one of the best methods for all of you at your age to develop logical fluency is to learn how to draw mind maps. This is a great example of a mind map. As you can see, a mind map has a primary cloud where the topic is written. Let's assume this is the topic on which you're going to write or which you're going to speak. Let's say you're talking about your city. Let's say our city is Mumbai, or whatever your city is. Let's say you're going to speak about Mumbai. So you write it in the middle of the piece of paper and write all the different thoughts that come to your mind with respect to Mumbai. For example, Mumbai rains, Mumbai gateway of India, Mumbai food, Mumbai business capital, financial capital of India. Whatever points are coming to your head, just spread them out like have been spread out in this mind map. These are all the secondary thoughts that are coming out of the main cloud. These are called secondary thoughts. Now, once you have come up with all of these secondary thoughts, think of what more you can think related to it. For example, if you're talking about Mumbai's rains, maybe floods, maybe loss of life, maybe getting wet in the rain. These are some thoughts that might come to our mind. So in this way, you slowly and steadily expand the main thought into multiple other thoughts via a mind map. Mind maps are great modes of actually collecting your thoughts. Often when we think that we don't have enough to say or we don't have enough of content. But if you start making mind maps, I promise you that you will have a lot of content. In fact, you'll have more content because you'll start writing it down. You'll realize how much content you have to speak on a particular topic. Just as an exercise, after a session, take any topic in the world and try and make a mind map on it, like a primary thought out of this secondary thoughts, like Mumbai, related to Mumbai, different thoughts coming out, and different thoughts related to the secondary thoughts. So these are called tertiary thoughts. Tertiary thoughts are third degree thoughts. Okay, so in this way, mind maps can keep growing. So they are a great way of actually collecting all your thoughts. After you have collected all your thoughts, the next step to ensure logical fluency using a mind map is to sequence it. As in, if you were, for example, to give a speech on mind maps, which is the topic of this mind map, what would you say first? I would first probably talk about creativity. Okay, that would be point number one. Then I would talk about the benefits. Then I would talk about productivity. That would be number 3. Planning would be number 4. Collaboration would be number 5. So in this way, I must sequence my different points from a mind map. So giving you an example, let me make a speech on what this mind map shows. Mind mapping is a process that helps us improve our creativity. Through mind maps, we can come up with a lot of ideas, innovations, and thoughts. There are many benefits of using mind maps. For example, we have the ability to make a summary of all our thoughts. It makes a speech much easier to memorize. It's very simple, fast, and fun to make a mind map. Apart from this, mind maps help us improve our productivity by helping us capture our thoughts. They make us more efficient, more intuitive. They also help us with planning our projects, goals, and strategies. Apart from this, they are a great mode of collaborating with other members in a team. And while sharing thoughts with colleagues, we are always going to be able to come up with better ideas. Did you see how I used the mind map that was here just to basically make the entire thing very interactive? Did you see? I just use all the thoughts that were there in this mind map. Okay. Similarly, I want you all to take any topics. You all must learn how to make mind maps. Take out all the different thoughts from the mind maps. Number the thoughts in the order that you think they make sense and start speaking up. Okay. A lot of us who are good public speakers, we lack logical fluency. Mind maps are a great mode of ensuring that logical fluency is maintained. Okay. They are a great mode of ensuring this logical fluency is maintained. Okay, all of you, if you want to be good public speakers, you must learn how to make mind maps. And in fact, mind maps don't simply help with, giving speeches. Even if you want to write an essay, so many times you say, "Arey, what will I write?" Mind maps will help you realize what all you can write. Okay, slowly and steadily, when you develop the habit, your mind will automatically start making these mind maps for you. So that is very important. Also, what I'd like to tell you is many times we are used to actually writing our full speeches down sentence by sentence. Instead of that, the best way to utilize mind maps, the best way to actually prepare our notes is to make a mind map. So here you don't have full sentences, and you can just keep referring from time to time to your mind map to remember whatever you wanted to say. So that is as far as logical fluency and mind maps are concerned. Are there any questions, anyone, related to mind maps and logical fluency? This is a very, very important aspect of public speaking. Anybody wanting to be a good public speaker, it always starts off with logical fluency. Okay, let's go quickly on to the next point. Quickly, we will go on to the next point. That's voice projection. This is extremely important. Even if you're speaking online, voice projection is one of the most important things. Let me show you what is voice projection by an example. Okay, now this is not voice projection. This is not voice projection. This is voice projection, and this is shouting. Okay, very big difference between no voice projection, and shouting. Shouting basically involves raising your voice. Okay, trust me, never does shouting or being extremely loud help you become a better public speaker. If I'm going to speak to you all like this throughout the duration of this session, you all are probably going to get angry at me. Okay, you all are not going to like me. You all will think I'm very forceful. So never think being very loud is being a good public speaker. Okay, being able to throw your voice, being able to project your voice is what is going to help you be a good public speaker. Okay, voice projection is the ability to throw your voice. You know that surround sound? Have you heard woofers of basses? They go bong, bong, bong. They give that surround sound where you can hear for anything more. They allow you to hear a sound for a second more. Okay, that's what voice projection is also about. Voice projection is your ability to throw your voice. Okay, it's very important for all of us to learn this, and I am going to teach you this. In order to learn this, what you need to understand is that speaking is nothing more than an extension of breathing. In order to speak, we need that extra breath. Okay, speaking has three parts to it. Firstly, we have something called diaphragmatic muscles, which pump the extra breath required for us to speak. Okay, there are diaphragmatic muscles which pump the extra breath required for us to speak. After that, we have vocal cords. Okay, after that we have vocal cords. The vocal cords actually vibrate to produce the necessary sound. And finally, our tongue, teeth and lips, they shape up the words to speak. Okay, our tongue, teeth and lips shape up the words to speak. Voice projection deals with our nodes here. Our vocal cords, they have nodes. These nodes vibrate. In fact, while speaking, all of you are on mute. While speaking, what I want all of you to do is firstly put two of your fingers to the top of your neck. Put two of your fingers to the top of your neck. Everybody, put two of your fingers to the top of your neck and say A. Just say A. Keep yourself on mute and say A. Okay. Now what I want all of you all to do is just say A. Don't say A. Just say A. Now you will feel two bones at the base of your neck. Put two fingers to that section where there are two bones at the base of your neck. Okay. Now say A. Just say A. Put it again to the top and say A. When you say A, at the top you'll always feel a strong vibration. But at the bottom, if you're just saying A, you won't feel any vibration or very, very low vibrations. Okay. This is because you are only vibrating the nodes of the top section of your neck. Typically, when most of us speak, we actually don't vibrate the bottom section of our nodes. We have nodes all the way up till here. Okay, vibrating those nodes produces the sound, and in order to project our voices, we must be able to vibrate all sections of our nodes. Okay, so once again, take two fingers, Adyan, take two fingers, put them to the base of your neck, right above your bones. Okay, say first say A. Just say A.
A.
Okay, you can keep yourself on mute. Now say A. Okay, say A. Now say B. Now say B. In the second case, you will feel the vibration going down to the base of your neck, while in the first case, you will not feel any vibration at all. The second case is an example of voice projection where you're using your entire section of your vocal cords. The first section is where you are not projecting your voice. So please note, you must project your voice if you want to be able to be a good public speaker. So slowly and steadily, you can do this A, B, C, D exercise, saying A and then A, B, B, C, C. Do this exercise to learn how to vibrate your notes. The moment you learn how to vibrate your notes, you learn how to utilize them. The moment you learn how to utilize them, you will learn how to project or throw your voice. So this is another bit of homework I'm giving all of you. You must learn how to project your voices. Don't shout, simply project. That is what will make you a good public speaker. Any questions about voice projection?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, Naman.
So, sir, you said that we should not shout and maybe our voice, we should not like let our voice be too low also. But sir, sometimes like on online, maybe our mic can have some problem, or like the other person's volume of the device can be low or something. Then how can we do that?
It's a good question, Naman. Naman, if somebody asks you to be louder, that's a different thing. That's a different point. If somebody asks you to be louder online because they have a problem with their speaker, that's different. But in general, when you're speaking in public, make sure you're projecting your voice. Speak at a decent level of loudness. Obviously, you need to be loud, but you don't need to shout is all I'm saying. All right, Netra, you have a doubt?
So we have to start by like a low voice, and then if people tell us to speak louder, then start getting louder.
Start at a normal loudness. Normal loudness. Don't be overly loud. If people ask you to be louder, only then you should be louder. Okay? Now, very quickly, let's move on to the next part of the session. That's voice projection. Another very important public speaking aspect is voice modulation. Voice projection is the ability to throw our voices. Voice modulation is the ability to change the pitch of our voice. You know, for example, if I was to just speak at this pitch throughout the duration of the session, beyond a point you would get bored. But what I'm doing is I'm continuously modulating. I'm changing the pitch of my voice. I'm adding more life to my voice. That's what you call voice modulation. Any good storyteller, any good news anchor, anybody
In
who's
singing also, sir.
Yes, Tejasvi, in singing also, very good, Tejasvi. In singing also, sir, everybody basically needs to modulate their voice. If we don't modulate our voices, we become what we call monotonous. We are speaking in the same tone and it becomes boring for listeners to listen to us. So we must learn how to modulate our voices. And there are three main ways to modulate our voice. The first is the natural way, that is to feel for what we are saying. If we feel for what we are saying strongly, no, automatically that emotion comes out in our voice and our voice is going to get modulated. We don't need to try and modulate our voices then. But often we don't feel for what we are saying. Many times we actually don't feel for what we are saying. We're just speaking it because we've been asked to speak on it. In these kinds of cases, how do you ensure voice modulation? Well, the answer is simple. There are two ways. The first way is to pause. I always state that the English language, before it was written, it was spoken. There wasn't some artist who came in and put a comma and a full stop because he thought it looks beautiful. Okay? Commas, full stops, all these pauses were put in for a very simple reason. Without commas and full stops, if you were to speak, you would run out of breath. For example, if I continue to speak at this kind of a speed without stopping at any point in time, beyond a point, I would not be able to breathe. And you won't be able to understand me either. The speed at which you speak is important. Hence, it's very important to always stop at full stops or commas. Also, the moment you stop at these pauses, your voice is automatically going to get modulated. Okay? So pausing is very important. And secondly, emphasizing. Emphasize on important words. Like I'm emphasizing on emphasize. Learn how to emphasize on important words. Through that, your voice will automatically get modulated. Okay? So there are three ways of ensuring voice modulation. Firstly, feeling for what you state. Second, making or pausing at the right points. And thirdly, emphasizing on important words. Okay, so that's as far as voice modulation is concerned. Do any of you all have any questions related to voice modulation? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Yes, Netra?
Sir, for some persons, the voice modulation won't come, no, sir.
Sorry, can you repeat yourself?
Sir, for some persons, that voice modulation won't come, no, sir. Why, sir?
For some people are not able to modulate their voices. Netra is asking why. Typically, they tend to speak in the same tone, but if you learn how to pause, if you learn how to emphasize, voice modulation will take place automatically. Okay, Netra? Very quickly, let's move on to the next public speaking essential. That's eye contact. Maintaining eye contact with your audience is very important. Let me tell you, well, the session is going to continue for another 10 minutes or so. Okay, let me tell you that your audience is a huge attention speaker. If you don't give them attention, they're not going to listen to you. So right now, of course, when you're speaking over Zoom, you need to look into the mic. The moment you look into the mic, look into the camera. The moment you look into the camera, your audience will feel like you are looking at them. But when you are live, okay, you need to try and maintain eye contact with everybody. If you don't maintain eye contact with everybody, they are probably going to feel like you don't want to listen to them. Think of, for example, a classroom scenario. Think of a classroom situation where you are in the class and you have a teacher, and your teacher is not looking at your side of the row at all. Even if the teacher is speaking brilliantly, you'll feel like, why isn't ma'am looking at me? Why isn't sir looking at me? And you'll probably not want to listen to them. So this is what happens. Hence, as public speakers, it becomes very important to maintain eye contact. Okay. Now, how do you ensure you maintain eye contact? Many of us actually, we get very conscious to maintain eye contact with others while in a crowd. We get very, very conscious. We don't want to maintain eye contact. We become shy. We become nervous. We become conscious. So how do you ensure you maintain eye contact? There's a very interesting method that's called tennis. Imagine that you're speaking to your class. Okay, you're in front of the class and you're speaking to the class. Imagine you're speaking to the class. How would you speak to them to ensure you maintain eye contact? You watch a tennis match like left, right, left, right, left, right. Obviously, you can't keep going like this. Okay, it is going to be very distracting and will give people a headache. But just like you watch a tennis match from left to right, right to left, slowly and steadily move your eyes from left to right and then move them from right to left. So left to right, right to left. You actually won't be looking at anybody. Everybody will feel like you're looking at them. You are really looking at nobody. Okay. But people feel like you're maintaining eye contact. So it's a great way to maintain eye contact. Another method, very important, is that if you're reading out of a book, every time there's a pause, look at a separate section of the class. Look left first, look straight, then look right. So in this way, everybody will feel like you're looking at them. Maintaining eye contact as a public speaker is hence very, very important. All right. So this is as far as eye contact is concerned. Lastly, I'll just touch upon this body language. Body language, the way you stand, the way you speak is very important. Okay. Keeping your back upright, shoulders pushed back at all points in time, shoulders upright, not swaying. Okay. This is when you're speaking live, not on Zoom. On Zoom, you can only see my face. So when you're speaking on Zoom, don't keep shaking your hand or moving yourself. A lot of us do that. That tends to distract people. But when you're speaking live, make sure that your toes are pointed forward. Your knees are not wobbly. They're not trembling. Your hips are not moving excessively. Keep them straight in one position. Keep your shoulders upright and speak smartly. If you're moving your hands, move them. Imagine there's an imaginary box. The length of the box is the length of your hands. The width of the box is the width of your shoulders. Move your hands only in this area. Okay, don't go all over the place. There are people who tend to dance with their hands. You need to try and avoid doing that. Okay, so keep your toes pointed forward. Knees should not be wobbly. Don't sway with your hips. Shoulders upright. Move your hands in a small area. Okay, and don't nod excessively. These are important aspects of body language. More about this, you will learn in due course. So at this point in time, very quickly, this was like a very small session on public speaking. To start off with, I told you that public speaking is something that all of you need to develop. Okay, and the best way to develop public speaking is to jump into it. Give yourselves the opportunity. The more you give yourselves the opportunity, the better it will be. Okay, I talked about the long form of introduction. Give me 2 minutes, I'll entertain questions. I talked about the long form of introduction with 5 different points. Any incident or experience that changed the way you perceive the world, characteristic traits of you, your hobbies, what would make you stand out in a crowd of people, and your personal details like your name, school, and city. Please practice this after the session. After that, I taught you the short form of introduction, which is the elevator pitch, where we talked about 3 points. Firstly, your name and your institution, your strengths, and we even if full. Okay. After that, I talked to you about how public speaking you're going to have to do anywhere, and you must be able to jump into it and give yourselves the opportunity. And finally, I spoke about 5 public speaking essentials. We talked about logical fluency and mind maps. We talked about voice projection and the A exercise. We talked about voice modulation and how it's important to pause, emphasize, and feel for what you say. We talked about eye contact and tennis. And finally, we talked about body language, important aspects. Okay, this was a very short session. We have much longer sessions with a lot more activities and games related to public speaking. I just wanted to introduce all of you to certain aspects which I'd like you all to practice beyond this session. I will entertain questions in exactly 2 minutes. What I'd like to tell you is that at SkillSphere Education, a lot of you already know we have a lot of interactive, interesting online programs going on. For example, the E1 program, which is a Model UN program, Model UN training program for students of 11 to 15 years old. The E-Debate program, which is a program that teaches all of you public speaking and debating. That's for 10 to 14-year-olds. We have an E-Quiz program that focuses on quizzing and general knowledge for 10 to 14 years old. And for younger students to teach them public speaking, leadership, and other skills, we have a program that's called Evolve. I'm sure everybody will get information about all of these programs. And if any of you are interested in enrolling for any of these programs, please feel free to call on either of these 2 numbers and get in touch with us. That's 73042 77730. I repeat, 73042 77730. Jayant, please put it in the chat as well for the students to see. You can also call on 73041 26489, 73041 26489. Okay, you can get to know about all our E1, E-Debate, E-Quiz, Evolve programs. All information is available, and these programs are available both in short-term and long-term variants. The short-term program typically takes place for 5 days or 4 days for 1.5 hours to 2 hours each per session. The long-term program goes across 12 to 15 sessions spread across 2 to 3 months. So all these programs have short-term and long-term variants. So to know more about them, you can always give our team a call. More importantly, I'm very excited to tell you about one of SkillSphere Education's newest initiatives. It's called the Learning Spheres. So very, very soon, we are starting off with admin-only WhatsApp groups. We are starting off with admin-only WhatsApp groups, which will not only have members from our SkillSphere trainer groups, but we have also collaborated with members who are teaching other soft skills. Very senior experts in the industry that are teaching other important soft skills like robotics, creative writing, vocabulary. And this group, only the admins will be able to post. So every single day, there will be a video, an exercise, a quiz, or something interesting related to a range of soft skills. For example, every Monday, there might be a quiz. Every Tuesday, you might be introduced to a new aspect of public speaking. Every Wednesday to robotics, every Thursday to creative writing. Like this, every single day, you all will get videos and interesting material about different skills. A lot of our parents, a lot of our students asked us to do this. So we have actually collaborated with some of the best industry experts across the country. And we are going to be starting off these WhatsApp groups called Learning Spheres very soon. It's a free group. You don't have to pay to be a part of this group. And you'll basically get some information about different skills. It's basically a sphere of learning where you can keep developing different skills related to robotics, science, creative writing, etc. Okay, so every single day, there will be a different skill set oriented post. This is beyond our educational programs. And if you would like to be a part of the Learning Spheres, Jayant from my team in the chat has actually shared a Google form. You will have to fill up, you will have to ask your parents, or you will have to fill up that Google form in detail. And once it is filled up, your number will be added to the Learning Spheres. There are a set of rules to be a part of the Learning Spheres group. Like it's only an admin group. Nobody can post except for the admins. So it's just for sharing information. Okay. So if you'd like to be a part of the Learning Spheres, please click the Google Forms. The Learning Spheres will be launched by 20th of July. Okay. So that's as far as the Learning Spheres are concerned. So I have covered a range of different aspects during this session. I have talked about different public speaking essentials. I've talked about our educational programs, and I've also talked about Learning Spheres. Okay, I would like to thank all of you for having participated in this session. I hope you all have learned something, and frankly, this session is not going to be good only if you have heard me and forget everything. I have given you all a lot of homework. Do the long form of introduction, short form of introduction, focus on the public speaking essentials, practice all of this, only then you can be a better public speaker. All I've tried to do during this session is introduce you to the world of public speaking. Now you have to take it forward. You can also join our educational programs to learn more and participate in activities. But if you'd like to gain from the session, just take it forward as far as possible. Okay. I hope you had a good session. And now I am leaving the floor open to questions. Do any of you have any questions? Feel free to ask me. Yes, Kushagra. Kushagra, do you have a question?
No, ma'am, I forgot. No, sir, I forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, no worries. Anybody else has any questions related to anything I've taught? Okay, anyone? Anything at all? Okay, I'll give you all a second. Yes, Neil.
Sir, how can we introduce ourselves regarding the characteristics we stand out at, in the long form of introduction, what we stand out for? And
characteristic traits. So Neil, every one of us has very unique characteristic traits. For example, you might be a very good gamer, or you might be a very good sports person, or
sir, but isn't that our hobby? Or I'm a gamer, so gaming is my hobby.
Yeah, that can also be considered your hobby, but the fact that you're a gamer. Okay, Neil, let's take this example. What do you think are your own characteristic traits? Are you outgoing, creative, a leader? What are those traits that make you stand out? Tell me.
Leader and creative.
Leader and?
Creative person, outgoing, interactive sort of.
So you can state, I am a very talkative, interactive person who has good leadership qualities and is very creative. So that's how you'd explain your characteristic traits. Are you following me, Neil?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Bani. Anybody else? Any other doubts? Yes, Bani.
So nothing, I unmuted myself by mistake.
Okay. Anybody else wants to ask me anything else? Feel free to ask me. Now's the time. Okay. Seeing no questions. Yes, Ankita.
So I always get nervous. I'm normally good at public speaking, but I always get nervous when I'm speaking one-on-one to somebody who's better than me at something.
That tends to happen with all of us, Ankita. What you need to do is to learn how to back yourself. Have confidence in yourself. There is always going to be somebody who's better than you, at least at something. Okay? Don't be scared of expressing or presenting your views. The moment you start getting scared of doing that, you are never going to be able to interact with those people or grow at all. You want to try and avoid that, Ankita, as far as possible. Okay, so back yourself. With practice, slowly and steadily, this will improve. Speaking to yourself in a mirror is a great mode of getting rid of this fear as well. So try and do that. Just speak to yourself in front of the mirror. I don't know how many of you all speak to yourselves. How many of you can raise your hands? How many of you speak to yourselves and are ready to whack yourselves at some time because you feel embarrassed of yourselves, or you pat yourselves on the back for doing something good? Okay, a lot of you, it's a great thing. Try and speak aloud. The moment you start speaking aloud, you'll be able to improve your public speaking skills. Okay, all right. Ankita, does that answer your question? Hardik, did you have a question? Everybody else who doesn't have a question can lower their hands. Hardik, do you have a question?
Yeah, so actually, I had a test, so I joined late to the session.
Okay.
So,
you can call on the numbers that I will just show up, and probably they can give you a review of what had taken place. If you join the learning spheres, a lot of this will be covered again. We'll share notes, or you can call on these numbers to get a full-fledged revision of whatever I've covered. Is that fine, Hardik?
Okay, sir.
Yes. Any other questions? Anybody else? All right. Seeing no questions, I'd like to thank all of you for having joined our session. I hope to see some of you in our online educational programs. Also, do join the Learning Spheres, a great opportunity to keep learning about different things beyond what SkillSphere does as well, because there are other collaborators. And I wish all of you the very best. What I'd like to tell you is that, there are very few of us who are natural public speakers, but every one of us will be able to develop into a good public speaker. Okay. For any of you who want the WhatsApp link for the Learning Spheres groups, it has been shared in the chat. Okay. The Google form to fill up to join the Learning Spheres, it's been shared in the chat. Our numbers have also been shared. So any of you who really want to join the Learning Spheres or want to enroll for it, simply fill up the Google forms. Beyond this, thank you so very much. I can tell you that there's nothing that stops anybody from being a good public speaker except for yourself. So don't stop yourself from being a good public speaker. Give yourself the opportunity, back yourself, and I promise you, you'll be able to speak as well as Barack Obama in due course. All right. So thank you very, very much. Have a great day. If you enjoyed the session, give me a thumbs up via the reactions while leaving. And I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.